What would life be like if you had a better connection with your closest relationships? Your husband, wife, or kids? How would that impact your bond with them? Welcome to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast. I am your host, John LeBrun, with this week's Off Script. Before I dive into this episode, I want to thank each of you for listening. If you're gaining value from this show, please take a moment and leave a review. Also, if you're really getting something from this episode, take a screenshot with your phone, share it on Instagram, and give us a tag, and I promise we'll happily share that post. Thanks for your commitment to the mission to build more leaders to better serve their families, businesses, and communities. With your help, we've reached 55 countries in over 750 cities. From Lafayette and I, we both want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Now let's get back to it. I want you to imagine your connection with your spouse is at an all-time high. Your bond with your children is unbreakable. Your family is just connected. What would you do for that life? How much would that impact you? Today, I want to give you my 5 simple steps to a deeper connection with your closest relationships. Let's jump right into this. Number 1 is simply give praise. That's right, give praise. Understand that your family yearns so much for your approval. Even if it's not their primary love languages, studies show that everyone hungers for approval. How and when you show praise is critical. People will actually duplicate the patterns based on your praise. Often their self-image is attached closer to areas of which you praise most and loudest. So be careful what and how you give praise. For your children, the type of praise is incredibly critical. Constant praise for physical appearance often emphasizes that your physical beauty is of high priority. Likewise, if you give loud praise for achievements such as home runs, scoring goals, it may cause them to attach their self-image to performance in sports or only achieving. While it's certainly okay to celebrate these achievements, if you want to build their self-esteem properly, don't praise the results, but praise the work that led to the results. This way, their self-image is attached to the work and the preparation that led to the successful moment, not just the peak moment itself. That now, if they ever lose, their self-image doesn't drop with the loss. It actually elevates with the work. Number 2, share your vision. As a leader, you're often out there slaying dragons, leading the charge, working so hard. But you're also the one getting the attaboys while your supporting cast, your spouse, your children, so forth, are taking care of the home front. And without them, let's face it, fam, it would be so much harder for you to get that goal, for you to work towards that mission, that vision, that purpose. So take time to share your vision with them. Let them be a part of it. Integrate their vision, their wants and desires into yours as much as possible. And this is important. You must share with your spouse often and share it during opportune moments. Don't share with them while they're doing chores or undesirable tasks. Take them out to dinner. Share it during deep conversations and remind them about your vision. Share your passion with some vulnerabilities and let them know how important they are to the success of the mission. Number 3, establish listening time. Let's face it, we're so busy, not just you, but everyone in your life. And when most people get home, they turn on the TV for some unwinding. So I challenge you to set up some routine listening time. This is uninterrupted, no phones, no TVs, nothing. Just you and your other. With your spouse, do it over dinner, or maybe if you have kids after they're in bed, but just make sure you set aside at least 30 minutes to talk, get on the same page. If you're a husband, make sure you give your wife plenty of time to talk out her day. Let her talk about her frustrations, her worries, and her wins, and focus on her. If you have children, find some optimal times like breakfast table, in the car, bedtimes. I know for our family, we like to do it when they're tucking them in. So while we're saying goodnight, we like to stop in, sit on the edge of the bed, and simply ask them about their day. This is the time when they most open up. There's no distractions, no TVs, no books, nothing to keep them from not listening to us, and nothing to keep me from not connecting to them. This doesn't mean that every night they're going to open up, but it gives the environment for when they do have something to open up about, that I'm available for them to. And I promise you, this will create a deeper connection and open communication. Number 4, complete a project. This is the most fun. One of the strongest bonding experiences for any person or team is through struggle and victory of a project. You can do this as a family, or you can do one-on-one projects. But the key to this is simply finish. Don't start and not finish your project. It's finishing the project together that creates that bond. I know when I was a child, I used to build model cars and planes. And here's the deal. I never had any interest in military planes or muscle cars, but my dad loved both, and I craved his attention. By the time I was 13, I had probably built dozens of both, and I'm telling you now, I don't think I knew the name of a single one, but I can remember vividly the smell of the glue. I can remember him showing me how to properly cut the plastic, how to put the pieces together, using the tiny brushes to paint the motors just right, which pieces get painted first, which pieces are spray painted, etc., etc. I knew a lot about model planes and model cars, but I didn't care about either. The reason I built dozens of these is I craved the attention it gave me from my father. So I challenge you to do the same with your child, with your spouse. Don't build cars, don't build planes. Do something of their interest and do it together, and go win together. And last, understand their values. How much better would life be if the important people around you were clear of your values? What if your boss, spouse, friends understood what were good for you and what was crossing the line? Now flip that. What if you understood that with your spouse, with your children? How much deeper would your connection be now that you're never crossing their boundaries or values? There's a whole bunch of exercises that you can do to identify values, but here's a quick one. For you and your spouse, I want you each to write down your top 5 people you admire most. And then under each one, I want you to list the 3 main reasons why you picked them. What is it you admire about them? What is it that they inspire you with? Like, what is it they do that inspires you the most? And be specific. You'll find that these 15 reasons you wrote down are often things that you find valuable. It could be bravery, it could be wisdom, it could be their empathy, but these are often things that are important to you, and hint, to your significant other. For your children, ask them to list their 3 heroes. I recommend doing one fiction, one real person who they know personally, mom, dad, uncle, friend, and then one person who's a real person, but they just don't know them. It could be a sports figure, so forth. And then ask them 3 questions around them. 1, what makes them a hero? Like, why are they considered a hero? What characteristics make them your hero? And what does this hero do that makes them special to you? When your son or daughter picks these heroes and characteristics, you'll find out things that they think are heroic or special or valuable to them. When I asked my son these questions, he gave me answers like, this character risked his life for his family. And it told me that he really values the connection to his family. When he told me that Dak Prescott was a hero of his, and I asked him why, and it was because his work ethic to his craft. It reminded me of how much he is committed to his crafts and how much work ethic means to him. So do these examples with your children and understand their core values. Family, I hope you take these 5 things seriously and you develop the deepest connection with your significant others, children, and anybody with a really close relationship. And this will change your life. I want to thank you for listening to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast. As always, we pray that you be the leader that God has called you to be. Until next time, God bless.